Welcome to the App Corner. I'm your host, the App Queen, and today we have a very, very special guest all the way from Ghana. He's here to talk to us a little bit about his tech journey, so we're gonna kind of talk to him right now. So what's up? This is Robert Lamptey. Can you introduce yourself a little bit?
So I'm Robert, and I'm Robert.
Nice introduction, Robert. So actually, me and Robert met, I think it was in 2012 when I was living in Nigeria and running my startup. We were both at a conference called Mobile Web Africa, and I was kind of like trying to pitch my startup at the time called Jandus Radio, and he was also pitching his called Say a Chat, right? So he got on stage and he was telling everybody, about this amazing application that he had built for, Africa, feature phones and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about how you started that journey.
We started basically by building an application for the kind of devices that was available to us, like everyday devices that we saw. And at the time we started, iPhone had just been launched, and so no one I knew had an iPhone. Android was like virtually non-existent at the time, and so what we had were Nokias and Samsungs that had internet access, right, and could run some sort of apps, usually J2ME apps, and that was the technology at that time. And so I love chat because for me it's fun. Aside from that, my project work centered around chat, and so being able to turn it into a company and build something that will allow people to collaborate, right, was something that was it was fun for me. I was having fun at the same time building a company. Yeah.
So at that time, just to give you guys a little bit of context, there were some chat apps out at the time. WhatsApp was
was out, but it was just for iPhones. They didn't even have an Android version at the time, because when we started, everyone was saying Android was going to die. No one believed that Android was going to take over the world, right? So everyone was like, it's just a fad, it's going to go away, and then Android took over the world.
Right, so your application was pretty much on feature phones.
Yes, on feature phones.
So
yeah.
Just to give you guys some background, Africa, we operate a lot on feature phones. I believe 70% of the market is still feature phones. So smartphones are actually
it's
not
actually
even a major part.
But
it's starting to change now, but back then it was still about 70% of the market was run on feature phones. So we're talking about the Nokias, the smaller phones.
Yeah, Nokia was big.
Right.
In Nigeria, BlackBerry was huge.
Right, and that's where I built my app on BlackBerry.
Okay, sure.
And you were doing feature phones at that time.
I was doing Nokia, Samsungs,
Awesome. So I know that you started to pick up some speed, right, for your startup at some point, and then TechCrunch noticed you guys. So tell us a little bit about how that came to be.
Okay, so we started out looking at just building something for a tiny country,
right.
And then we realized that it was getting difficult to market, to get to the people, because conventional internet marketing wasn't working. You had to go on radio and TV. We didn't have that kind of money. So we decided to open it up to the world for us users are users. And so when we did, we had within a day 50,000 signups.
Wow.
Right, in a day, and we've been struggling to meet that milestone for a couple of weeks in a tiny place. And so we just opened it up, and then we started getting a lot of users. And based on the number of people that were coming on board and all of that, we actually met Mike Butcher, who was in TechCrunch. I think he still is in TechCrunch. He's in Europe now. So Mike came over to Accra, met with us, we spoke, we presented our apps, and it was I think this will be good for TechCrunch. And so we had to interview for TechCrunch Disrupt, and we came over. At the time we were here, we had over 350,000 users. We had a startup that was 6 months old, and we had 3.5 million people who wanted to join, and we didn't even know how to onboard them because our servers were not standing the traffic and the peak and all of that, and there were a lot of things to figure out for us at that time.
Right. So okay, now TechCrunch has seen you guys. You're in the process of raising funds to expand your business. Tell us what that process was like.
Yeah, I think for a startup, getting exposure on that kind of skill really helps, and something I would encourage a startup to try and do. Get onto an international stage, get onto a stage that everyone recognizes,
right.
And then that is going to open you up, because every investor would read TechCrunch, CNET, some other tech news, and see what the latest company is doing or what some startup is doing somewhere, and being able to ride on the mileage of that kind of PR for a tech company, that really helps. And so we had a lot of interest from various investors.
Okay.
And so emails here, back and forth, meetings and all of that. We were able to raise some additional money to what we had previously. And based on that, we were able to begin to expand and begin to be able to stop the bleeding. We were bleeding in terms of like outages, like our system just keeps going off because we didn't know how to even scale. We didn't understand all the technologies involved in that. Right. But we were hungry for success, and so you have to learn it or you're going to go out of business. And so TechCrunch exposed us. We had a lot of engineers who took interest in what we were doing, and so they would ask to meet for coffee or lunch, and we would tell them where we were struggling with, and they give us a couple of ideas to have you tried this, have you tried that. We had Yahoo engineers helping us, we had Facebook engineers, we had some folks from Twitter and Skype, and even AVG pitching in to help us. And so we had a lot of help coming from all these places, and we're able to improve the app and get it to a place where we got acquired at a point in time.
So what would you say was your marketing strategy in terms of expanding and scaling? What platforms do you think helped you guys the most in terms of scaling?
I don't know how to answer that question, but this is what happened. Facebook wasn't even too big then, so you can just do Facebook ads at the time, because the audiences were not even yet. They were now onboarding Facebook. Facebook started in 2008, I think. We started in 2000.
I think they started in 2004, actually.
Oh, okay. So at the time, I mean, I think we had like less than 100,000 people from Ghana on Facebook at that time. Right. People weren't really on Facebook. So you can't really market your app on Facebook. Google Ads, I think when I was starting, I wasn't too sure about it then. But so for feature phones, there was this market that did feature phone, like allowed, it was like an app store for feature phones.
Right.
And so when you put your app there, you get some mileage over that. And you could also pay some money to do some ads. And so the countries you're targeting and the kind of people you're looking at, they started that kind of thing. And so we put some money in there. It wasn't much, like $200, and we had a ton of users from that. Because people had these phones that had internet access, but limited apps.
Exactly, because a lot of people weren't building G20
yes, people.
Apps
it's difficult to build a G20
app.
I
know. I
and
did
so
as well. It was tough.
You build it, and then Nokia has a different way of doing stuff. Samsung has a different, Ericsson, and so it was kind of difficult. But so that's how we were able to push it out. Then Android became big, iPhone became big, and so we built for those platforms as well just before we got acquired, and that we did conventional marketing for those, like Facebook marketing and all of those things.
So you mentioned that you had gotten acquired, right? So tell us a little bit about what the acquisition process was like for you guys.
So I think that an entrepreneur should know when it's time to let your baby go, because babies grow, right? Yeah, babies grow. And so there comes a point in time where the baby must be let go for someone. So for instance, say when we were kids, we live with the parents, and then it's time to go to college,
Right.
and then you have to move out of the house. It's heartbreaking for the parents, but it's time to go. And so that's what happened to us. Say I was growing beyond our capacity, and so we started looking for acquirers. Some were already looking to acquire us, and we were also looking at some particular group of acquirers, because we don't want our baby to get acquired and die.
Right.
But we wanted to give our baby to someone who would need it or use it or improve it or merge it into some kind of product that they already had. And so that's our criteria, that's what we use, that say I can live on in some form or the other.
So the way you got acquired, hired. So they acquired you, and then they brought you onto their team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was an exciting opportunity, because we were a small team, a team of about 5 at our biggest. At the time we got acquired, we were 3. And so we were 4 at the time we got acquired.
Okay.
And so we moved. We had an international team, like Ghana, Kenya, India, a couple of places. And so we moved some moved actually to work in India. And then I go back and forth like every quarter to India to work with the team. And the thing for me was I was used to managing a small team,
right.
and so we were able to break things and fix them quickly. But then after we got acquired, I had to manage a very large team of about 200 people, engineers, and I wasn't dealing directly with them. I was dealing with the engineering managers. Right. And so that's a new, different ball game. You have a ton of resources, and you need to manage it to get the optimum value for that. And so that was the experience. So I learned how to manage bigger teams, and to be able to streamline work properly, because startup culture, we just a bunch of guys writing super cool codes. But this is like a big organization, 200 engineers. You have to know how to do project management, manage the product, make sure everything is at the quality that you want it, things like that. So
explain to us now what you're doing after the acquisition and the hiring there.
Okay, so after we got acquired, after working for some time, I realized that the 9-to-5 was not my thing. I pretty much grew up with a dad who was an entrepreneur, so I never saw him do 9-to-5. I think it rubs on you. So 9-to-5 was kind of like claustrophobic for me at the time. So I branched out I saw an opportunity in payment. And so I branched out to do payments. And I was of the view that something like Square had revolutionized payments in the US. And so in Africa, it was mobile first before computer comes in.
Correct.
And everybody had a mobile phone. Everybody had internet on their mobile phone. At least those that I know of.
Right. So the reason why Africa is mobile first is because everyone can't afford a laptop, but you can get very cheap.
It's cheaper to get a mobile phone, right? And so we have bank accounts, we have bank cards, right? And we carry them in our pocket, and the only use case we have for them is the ATM. So I was thinking, why not give the plumber, the painter, the carpenter, the retailer, everyone with a mobile phone this device, stick it into your phone or Bluetooth, and then now I can make payments everywhere and anywhere. And so I was able I had to pre-fund, I had to bootstrap, that's what I'm looking for. I had to bootstrap the startup with the little money that I had. It wasn't little, it was some money. So the money that I had to bootstrap, and I was able to get a supplier to give me about $250,000 worth of POS, MPOS, like
Right.
mobile point of sale systems, including software and everything sorted out. And I needed to get an acquiring bank, and that posed as a big problem, because there were players already in the field who had these chunky POS devices, and they had bigger, longer contracts with the banks, and the banks, I don't know, some kind of no compete. So it was very frustrating. And coming from a startup point of view where the solution works, implemented, and getting people who had to go through a lot of hoops and hoops and hoops, and I'm bootstrapping, so I'm low on funds, and it didn't make sense. So I had to shelve the idea. But in the process, I met a couple of people who saw the potential of what I did and gave me other contracts. So I ended up starting a consulting business and building apps for organizations, either mobile apps, or we're building an entire system that does that, because that has been my life. I understand the process of software development. I know what can be done, what solution to use, how to use it to achieve whatever aim, be it we want to cut costs, we want to be more efficient, we want to be faster. I just know how to do all of that. And so, yeah.
That's an amazing journey. So let's switch gears a little bit. What are some of your favorite apps that you use today?
Well, Spotify. That's my #1 app. Because I'm lazy, I just sit back, someone curates a playlist for me, I get recommendations, yeah, music. I love music, all kinds of music. Classical, I don't know whether I like techno, but I do classical music, I do rap music, I do pop. Pop is my favorite, anything pop. I like pop. Gospel, that's my in thing. I like my gospel poppy. Yeah. Basically, I like to hear the guitar and the piano, anything that has that sounding. And so Spotify, I get to curate a lot of playlists. I don't have to know what the latest song is. Spotify is going to tell me who released what. I don't. And I think aside from Spotify, I like FaceTime.
Right.
Yeah, that's my go-to app for FaceTime. Works. It works even when I'm in Africa, and anywhere in Africa I travel to, so long as I can get a 3G network. Even when I'm on Edge, which it's choppy.
Edge is like a 2G network.
Yeah, 2G. It works. Yeah. Like if I can do video, I can do audio. It's super clear. It's better than WhatsApp. Audio is better than any other app, like any audio that I use. Just that you're stuck with an iPhone. So, yeah.
Great. So, what do you like to do for fun outside of coding? What do you
I like to take long walks.
Okay.
Stroll around. And yeah. What do I like to do for fun? Anyway, let's start. Okay, so I like to walk a lot. I like take a long stroll. If I'm close to the beach, all the better. But in the neighborhood, I'm okay with that. It helps me to clear my mind. I also like to hike when I have the time to, or swim. Yeah, these are the things that I love doing.
That's pretty awesome. I, on the other hand, do not know how to swim and will not go swimming. So, yeah, we're very different on that. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, sharing your journey with us and what you're doing next and all that. We really appreciate it. So, if you have an IG that you want to share with people, you can give them that information.
So my Instagram is rlamptey, RLAMPTEY. I think it's the same on Twitter. I don't really do Twitter, but Facebook is Robert Lamptey. So
awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining us today. And we'll see you next time on the App Corner. Take care. Bye.